Running a distribution business isn't for the faint of heart, and neither is this podcast. Join your merry hosts, Matt Johnson and Dave Bent, as they explore topics related to B2B e-commerce that will help you build a business that stands the test of time. So go ahead, grab yourself a pint and pull up a stool. It's time for the Distributor Pubcast.
All right, guys, how we doing?
Doing good.
All is good.
Good.
What's on tap for you guys today? What are you drinking?
So I work, my home office is downstairs, and the kind of beer I can't drink it, like I can drink it warm, but it's not great warm. So I got Jenny's little Utah cooler, and I have 2 beers and an ice pack and a chilled Guinness glass. Just my favorite glass to drink these beers out of. So, and you got to remember where I'm at. I'm in Utah. We have great local breweries, but we don't have great access to anything outside of Utah. So, but this is one of my favorites, Lagunitas Little Something.
Wow.
You see their IPAs and stuff. This one is my favorite. We can't even get them in the bottle anymore, so we got to drink them out of we got to pour it out of the can. So I like them. They're I don't know.
Times are tough, Matt. Times are tough.
7.9.
Ooh,
pretty strong.
So, little stronger, a little sweeter. I love them. They're delicious.
They
so
are.
One of my favorites.
They're like a dessert beer, aren't they? Like it's very sweet, and it's got that nice balance with the hops, right?
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as like a double IPA, which I also like, which can be really sweet and really strong at the same time.
Yeah.
I think this is a good balance. So don't mind my can.
Cheers, man. Welcome. And I think I'll go next, Dave, because we're gonna go up in intensity. So mine is somewhere between what you have and what Matt brought. So I got this is a Imperial milk stout. So this is super strong. It hardly has any carbonation to it. It's got like crazy chocolatey, dark roasted notes to it, and it's just phenomenal. It's a very small batch. It's from a brewery right down the road from me called 9 States Brewery. And it's tiny, little mom and pop operation. And I don't know, they probably had like 200 bottles of this stuff. So
nice.
Where are they from originally, Matt? Are they local?
They're from Jersey, actually, and they drove down 9 states to get to Florida, and that's why they call it 9 States. So yeah, it's good stuff. But I'll have one of these guys, and then I'm gonna switch to the complete opposite, which is I got the new Yingling Flight, which is the lightest beer you can possibly get. It's got like 56 calories.
Yeah. You're a good boy. You're a good man.
So we're going in extremes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know how much you guys can both talk, and I figured that if I drank beer, I might have to go to the bathroom and leave you guys talking. So I decided to go with the whiskey, a nice Talisker, a little bit peaty, but it's a good flavor, and it's early enough in the day that I should be able to finish the bottle.
Nice.
So I'm going to pour. No, better not finish the bottle, but yeah, I love whiskeys, Scotch. I actually became a fan of bourbon too. I didn't think I was when I first came to the US, but yeah, just lots of different flavors, and it's awesome. Anyway, cheers.
Well, cheers.
Happy Pubcast.
Cheers, guys. It's great to be with you, and I'm excited about the conversation. We've been we've been planning this for a while, and it's nice to have Matt Christensen on the first episode. So Matt, why don't you just kick us off by telling us a little bit about Distributor Data Solutions and your story, how you got to where you're at, and tell us about the business, and
Okay.
we'll go from there.
Super flattered. I get to be on the first one with you guys. Work out the kinks on this one. So Thanks.
You're the guinea pig.
Cool. So yeah, we just passed our 6-year mark, which I don't know, seems in time seems forever, but it's really just flown by. I'm the president, co-founder, DDS, and we started off really. We just saw a huge need for real e-commerce content for distributors' websites. We started in the electrical side. That's where we came from. We were subscribed to the 2 industry data sources, and we looked this up last week, and we launched our e-commerce site on the distributor side 13 years ago. And it's just amazing. We were always kind of early adopters in technology, and it's amazing to look now how many distributors we're all still collectively trying to get online. But back to then, we bought Second Phase. They were the only ones that had an Eclipse integration at the time. So we spent a ton of money on the site, the usability, the look and feel. We treated it like a website. We treated it like a corporate site, but it was full e-commerce. And we launched it, and we immediately had complaints from our customers. Hey, we thought you guys were going to sell stuff online, but there's no images. There's 25% of the products back then even had images. So that was kind of the standard, was images and short description. We needed enough to search on and just a picture of the product. We didn't have the videos and 360s and all the attributes and even the categories and stuff that we have today. So what we did is we hired a guy, and he still works there, and it really his only job was to sit there with 2 monitors, copy paste. And our key vendor was Rockwell, was to copy paste from the manufacturer into a spreadsheet and upload the products into Second Phase. And after a year, it took him about a year to do 11,000 products. And we had, I don't know, 350,000 products in our product file. So, and hundreds of manufacturers. So the numbers just didn't add up. And that was kind of the aha moment of product content is important. And so fast forward a couple years, Dale, my business partner, sold to Sonopar. He stayed on for about a year. I stayed on for 2 years. And then we started this company really to fulfill that need, because nobody was doing it in these wholesale trades. And we just felt like we could do it with technology. We could do it better. We knew what the expectations are, the Amazon style content experience. And so that's how we started, really tailored to the distributors. And as we had more success in working with some of the biggest and the very biggest distributors in North America, the manufacturers started asking, okay, well, you're delivering to some of my biggest wholesalers. Can you take our content and deliver it to the retail side? Can you deliver it to Home Depot, to Lowe's, to Amazon, if they sell on Amazon? Plus our entire wholesale. Plus some were even delivering to some of the industry data warehouses, data pools. So that's really been kind of the focus. We've always sat in the middle of the manufacturers and distributors, but the main focus is the syndication side, is getting all the content from the manufacturers and then helping their channel, helping their distributors, retailers use the content. And that's kind of where we're at today. And that's, as we together go into some of these other industries, other verticals, plumbing, HVAC, industrial gas and welding, industrial tools, the problems are the same. The needs are the same. And so, they're lower tech industries. Some say a little further behind, But there's tons of opportunity and tons of future opportunity, and the timing's great to help both the manufacturer side and the distributor side with the product content.
Yeah, I actually think, Matt, the biggest breakthrough is it's actually helping the manufacturers and the distributors. It's like a community project, really.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for everybody because, well, you can expand on it better than I can, but it's a pain for the manufacturers because everybody wants the content in a different format, right?
Yeah.
And then, so it's a pain for them. And then the distributors often have different formats. So I just think maybe you can share a bit, Matt. I mean, the number of suppliers involved now, the number of SKUs, it serves the community that we're operating in.
Yeah, we're now working with I don't know the latest count total, but it's well over 1,000 brands, manufacturers and sub brands lines. We're over 6 million SKUs, probably well over that now with some of these new verticals. I just saw an update yesterday that we've brought in 224 unique manufacturers since January 1. So the need is huge, and I think that we'll all agree the push with COVID has sped up the demand, has sped up the need, the e-commerce in general, and you guys know that better than anyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think too, the other thing is there's an overall efficiency and effectiveness. I know in my 2 prior roles before coming to ES Tech, I worked in very large distribution companies, and we kind of did what you did, Matt. We actually bought a PIM platform, and I would say in each company we probably spent $1 million on a PIM platform and staffing, and gosh, it was painful. And even with staffing and all of that, it took we were a year just getting the first sites launched. So yeah, I think it's actually it's the quality of the content, but it's the efficiency it can drive is amazing.
Yeah, we released a blog this morning, and one of the focuses really was on the manufacturer side and how fragmented they are. And so they're getting all of these requests from their retailers, their wholesalers, third-party companies, and a lot of them are fulfilling those requests directly. With their content teams. We have one manufacturer who tracked these unique requests a couple of years ago, and it was like 800 and something unique requests just from their channel. So they're filling those templates directly. A lot of them have put their product content in their manufacturer portals. They are using these industry data pools, data warehouses, both here in North America, in Europe. You see a lot of country-sponsored data pools in Europe. You see buying groups doing their own initiatives. You see, kind of data brokers getting data from them, reselling it. So and then you have other kind of retail-focused syndicators. You have the kind of Syndigo, Salsify, delivering to some of the big box chain stores as well. So you have manufacturers feeding content to so many places to then try to get it out to the channel. And it's no wonder that distributors are left with, what some say is poor content, but it's really the manufacturers actually have great content. It's that whole middle process of getting the content and then again trying to help the distributors use it. How do they use it on their site? How do they, an image and a description is easy, but what about everything else? And then how do they try to make it unique from their competitors? So it's really there's not a standard for kind of that transacting that between manufacturers and distributors. So it's kind of all over the place. So that's some of the problems that are going on in the industry.
Yeah. And Matt, I heard so I was talking to a distributor just the other day, and he was talking to me about how he had this great relationship with this manufacturer, and They were growing their business with him, and he talked to the sales rep, and he said, "Hey, listen, I gotta get more of the product on my website." And so I made that request. So 8 months go by, and nothing happens. And he calls him up, and he's like, "Hey, man, what happened to the product content that I was going to get from you guys to add to the website?" And the manufacturer rep said, I checked on it 3 times, and it's not moving. I just can't get it through the backlog." So can you talk to the idea of, like, from a distributor's perspective? That's extremely frustrating. I mean, they're trying to develop their online presence. They're trying to build that e-commerce channel. What does a distributor do in that scenario? Is there, like, what's the best way?
Yeah, it's probably really frustrating because most of the time it seems to depend on the distributor's size, right? If they're one of the big top 10 for any given manufacturer, no problem, right? These distributors, retailers, the biggest ones, they have their own unique templates to get the data into their systems. They send that to the manufacturers and say, "Hey, fill this out." So, and then the manufacturers are, that's why there's the backlog, because they're busy fulfilling all of these manual templates. But if you're kind of a medium-sized, smaller distributor getting online, you're waiting in line. And so it's a problem. And there's some solutions. There's some data warehouses that a lot of manufacturers supply, kind of what they call master data to, but it's really they were built for ERP type data. So this is what you need in your ERP, your Eclipse or NetSuite or whatever you're running, to be able to transact and sell the product. But most of that content was never meant for e-commerce. It's not all the rich marketing content. It's not all the videos. It's not the 360s. It's not, even helping the distributor use it and getting it on their site. So the medium, smaller distributors definitely can sign up with, if they're industry, and that depends on the industry, right? So I don't know if there's what the coverage is in kind of HVAC. There's not one in industrial gas. We know there's some buying group activity trying to do some things. Electrical has 2 kind of legacy data sources that provide some of the content, but it's still only a portion. It's still only a percentage of what really any distributor of any size needs. And so then they are going to the manufacturers if they don't participate in these kind of data pools and saying, "I need the content." I think some of the manufacturers what they're doing is doing these custom templates for their big guys. And then they're working towards, okay, here is a one size fits all CSV or Excel file that you can use to try to get the content in. The problem is each manufacturer then has their own format. And so the distributor then if they do get it and they have 200, 300, 400 manufacturers, 400 different file types, it's just a massive amount of work to try to get that content in. And it's one thing to get it in one time, but the products are changing. There's new products. And so how do they do that at scale on a monthly basis? And then they've got to categorize the products, and they've got, the drill downs and all the things. It's a challenge.
Matt, it's maybe just depending on who's listening in, maybe we just spend a couple of minutes on, why is content so important? Maybe it's obvious, maybe it isn't, but just from our experience of, providing e-commerce platforms, just philosophically, we don't really like to engage a customer unless they have awesome content. And you could say, well, why is that? Well, I think we can undoubtedly say the best websites have the best customer experience, when you're on the site. And, we can see statistically, session times and how people stay on, the conversion rates. And we can statistically show if the content is poor, search results are poor. People can't find what they're looking for. Maybe they find it, but comparing it to another product, doing that side-by-side comparison that we're all used to on Amazon, that doesn't work because the attributes don't line up or whatever it is. And so the content is absolutely critical. If it's not kind of an obvious point, if you're listening in and maybe looking at e-commerce for the first time, the content is absolutely critical. And I think too, so back in the day, Staples, that pretty much everybody's heard of Staples, was one of the leading B2B e-commerce platforms. And they also statistically found that returns went down 50% when they got the product content right, because people actually really were sure what they were buying. And so there's no point in putting up a website if you don't have awesome content. It's not going to be effective, and your customers will get frustrated. And once they come and don't find or struggle, it's hard to get them to come back. So it's absolutely critical to the experience overall. It's the foundation, really.
And I think the goal of what we're hearing more and more, it's not just the kind of one-time purchase or one item too, right? It's you want to build the trust, build the credibility so that they're coming to your site repeatedly and not just buying one thing. They're loading their cart, they're loading their quick list or whatever the platform calls them. They're using that as a way to save time. And if they can't find it, or if they can only find one thing out of 5, that's really not going to help make their job easier. So I wonder how many times they try a distributor site one time, and then the guys who have always called or emailed and say, just this is what I want, just send it to the job. And so they give up right away. I want you would have more insight as to how much of that is going on.
Oh, no, it's huge. I mean, churn, when the content's not good, people abandon, right? Abandon the search, abandon the experience. So no, 100%. 100%. I think the other thing too is in many of the verticals, the actual, not always, but the individual product cost is high. I mean, you're making an investment often in equipment and tooling. And so it's not like it can be in business to business, but it's not always just a commodity purchase. It's an asset. And so absolutely making sure you're getting the right thing. And hey, who as a distributor wants a return?
Yeah.
We've all been there in that situation. Returns are a nightmare. So yeah, it's really critical. And actually you mentioned something else, Matt, which we see statistically too, which is the more SKUs a distributor can have on the site. Maybe it's obvious, but the data truly proves the breadth of offering truly drives sales. And it's kind of why we all go to Amazon, because we know we can find whatever we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in electrical, plumbing, whatever it is, we're gas, welding, if you can be the one-stop shop because you've got the breadth of offering, even if the supply chain, the delivery model is different across the SKU base, knowing you can get it from one site is huge. So it's breadth as well as breadth and depth as well as quality.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to. So before I met Matt at DDS, I used to recommend that if you were as a distributor and you were going to tackle this on your own, that you really should start with the 80-20 rule, where you're essentially going out and you're finding the 20% of the product information that accounts for 80% of your revenue, and building your site there first, and then slowly adding additional product lines and brands to supplement what you have there. But you guys, I found it interesting. You guys do something different than that. You when you go get content, you're not getting the best sellers. You're getting everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, we figured early on that, if we go get X number of products from a manufacturer, we're going to get asked for all of the other stuff at some point. And so it was always best for us to, set up a relationship with the manufacturer, get everything they have, everything they want their channel to have, not just one distributor, not just what one distributor has, but really what they're selling across their channel. And we've kind of taken it a step further where, it's surprising that a lot of distributors want advice from their manufacturers. What should I show online? What should it, at a minimum? Maybe I'm not ready, or maybe I don't have the pricing to display everything, but what are the core 5,000 products, 10,000 products that I should absolutely start with day one? And so working on getting the recommended products from the manufacturers that they really should have, because the manufacturers are stocking those items. A lot of distributors are stocking those items. It's better for both sides to, at least day one, start with that. We actually saw, I think it was last year, where one of the bigger manufacturers, they did and I don't know if it was for all of their wholesalers, but they did a rebate, an extra rebate, where if any of the distributors had their core, theirs was 5,000. They had a core 5,000 products. Any of the distributors had those core 5,000 on their website by the end of the calendar year, they gave them an extra, what, I don't know what the percent was, but 1/4%, 0.5%, whatever rebate in the total sales for the year. And so the kind of interesting approach. And I know that it really pushed some of the distributors, because we had calls in December, I need these products up on my site. So yeah, it's kind of, that one's kind of all over the place too, that, some start with the 80/20. They don't feel like they have their pricing right. For some of the rest, maybe they don't have them in their product file yet. There's a couple things that play into that. But yeah, back to your point, when we ask for the content from the manufacturer, we ask for everything. And we just feel like we want the distributors to have access to everything, every product they're authorized to sell. And it shouldn't be limited based on cost or that's the problem with the per SKU models. If they can only afford $20,000 or whatever for X amount of SKUs, 5,000 SKUs or whatever, that's not really what their customers are going to want, because they're going to go and they're not going to find everything they're looking for. And so right away they're handcuffed day one, because the model isn't right for everything they actually want on the site.
When you said rebate, it made me think of buying groups, and we're obviously members of several buying groups, and I think a lot of buying groups are trying to solve the content problem for their membership. It just seems logical, right? They're standing in this place of influence, and it seems like they could, if anybody could solve the problem, it'd be buying groups, right? So can you maybe talk a little bit about what things you've seen that are wrong, and what things they could do better to serve their membership?
Yeah, first of all, I think they're pressured by their membership to do something, right? They just kind of like why they exist in the first place is they negotiate pricing with the manufacturers on behalf of the entire group. And so if there's 500 members of a buying group, then they collectively get to take advantage of the pricing and the rebates and things like that. So I think, and they have different programs that they have brought out over time. We saw one recently that did kind of an insurance offering. So imagine all the sheer quantity of employees in one of the bigger buying groups, and they can negotiate rates and things like that. So I think that the buying groups are always trying to deliver programs that offer value for the entire group, and really it should be a kind of a quick win and a smart way to do it. I think that some of what we've seen over the last couple of years, while it may have been a great idea 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where there was really no other option, I think what we've seen over the last few years is that it's a one size fits all. I take this in terms of content, I take this content, I make it all the same as every other manufacturer, which, by the way, manufacturers don't love that they're altering their content. And then I give it to every member and every member then has the exact same content. So what we hear is some that was a good place to start. Others have not wanted to be like their competitors even within the group. I think some have evolved where they really want to be different. They differentiator. I think there's other ways to deliver the content today. But I think it really comes down to the one size fits all. It's limited too. It's limited by the manufacturers because only the manufacturers that participate in that buying group are delivering content. So as a distributor, you're still going to have a limited percentage of your overall manufacturers that you can even get from a buying group. What about everything else? What about the other 70% or 60% of all the manufacturers you sell? So then you're going to have to go back to what we talked about. You're going to have to go to each manufacturer direct to get that all that other content because those other manufacturers don't participate in the groups. So I think part of the problem you're facilitating limited number of manufacturers, limited number of products, content's the same. The overall, it sounds like a good idea, but I think the satisfaction level on the distributor is going down every year. And so I think they're either spending millions of dollars still trying to do the same thing, which we see, or they're looking for alternatives for ways to serve the distributor directly instead of through the group. Still sponsored by the group, but having companies work directly with the distributors that they can then, fulfill their own unique needs, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Sadly, many distributors have given up hope of ever building a thriving e-commerce web store. We're here to simplify the mission by offering a better product. We're here to help you grow. Evolution X is a B2B e-commerce platform engineered to meet your customers' needs. SpinStat Growth Agency provides distributor marketing services backed by years of industry experience. You can build a thriving online channel for your business and avoid losing to online competition. Book a personalized demo and learn more at evolutionx.io.
I think the other trend that's happening is, e-commerce took off in B2C really, right? People were buying commodity products. And then B2B, it's the same. Commodity products took off, business products, office products. But I think everybody now, and COVID drove this even faster. We know there's people in B2B buying fairly sophisticated systems, solutions, right? Multiple products that kind of get assembled at the installation point. And so, we see configuration of product is a growing need, and it can be anything from furniture, the desk and which part of the desk goes with the other part of the desk, all the way through to complex electrical installations. And so, again, the content has to be, I'll just use the word perfect to work in a configurator, right? It's got to know this product can go with this product. And so, again, it really has to come from the manufacturer because it's so hard to think through, okay, how do I get all the components that can be configured and built? It's not a theoretical solution, it's a practical solution. So we're seeing more and more configuration. We actually just launched a product configurator for the website. And there's some manufacturers provide configurators that we build into the website too, where they are offering complex solutions. But it's absolutely critical. And then just one more thought is if you have awesome content too, it actually helps service the customer. So they can come back when they're installing the product and look at the installation guide, the installation video, or troubleshooting video. So you become a real source, not just of buying, but support, but with limited interaction. And then the one I really like is, I honestly don't believe in most distribution companies. It's just e-commerce. It's an omni-channel experience. There's still salespeople, there's expertise, but we've seen some of our customers do really nice work where they're actually creating blog articles that link to the content.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do the search, you can see the blog articles. And the thing I'm really passionate to see, but it's still under adopted, I would say, is find an expert, so you can actually search for an expert in the distributor who is, hey, engage in a chat or even a phone call, because some things are complex. So it's kind of bringing expertise and content, and just comes full circle to me as you create the best customer experience. It's people, it's data, it's information. But really, as we've gone through COVID, we just see people honestly desperate to buy sophisticated products online, and it is impossible without content, because you can't talk to anybody, you can't meet. So that's going to change again now, but still, it's super important.
So we're going to be doing a webinar soon, and the title of the webinar is how to build a B2B e-commerce web store that actually sells. And the premise being, there's I think a lot of people have come to understand they need to adopt e-commerce, but they are seeing they're not seeing the results they might expect out of their web store, and a lot of that comes back to content. And so we talked about, in this webinar, we're going to talk about 3 areas: content, commerce, and communication. Content being the first and obviously most important part of a good performing website. So when you think about that, if you think about that's what makes a good B2B e-commerce store, how about if we paint the picture? Because I know somebody's out there thinking, well, I get it, it's important, but how do all these things work together? And what does it look like? Give me a vision of a high-performing distributor web store. It's got the content, it's got the commerce, that's got good communication. Maybe we can each maybe take a stab at that. So maybe Matt, you can talk about how does the content work together, and how does it flow between different software systems, and maybe we'll keep it in the context of since what we're familiar with, EvoX and DDS. So maybe you can think of an example where a customer is utilizing both the DDS services as well as the Evolution X platform.
Yeah, some of my absolute favorite sites where our content looks amazing and shows amazing and delivers the best experience really is EvoX. I think that we're able. There's no limits. I think that was day one. There weren't any limits as to, okay, we see this all the time. We see this with PIMS. We see this with everywhere we're delivering data, where there's so many limitations. There's limitations in how many images they can display, or how many they can only have 128 characters in their short description. Well, that's, by the way, that's what a lot of sites are searching off of primarily. And so the beauty is we just never had any limits with ES Tech, and that's ongoing. So for us, that's great. We can we just throw all the content that a manufacturer has at it, and really it's not, we don't have to make each manufacturer look the same, because they really shouldn't, and we don't have to make each segment different. The lighting content really should be very different than industrial automation. It should be different than circuit breakers, should be different than wire. And so I think with that, the flexibility of that platform it's great for us. I mean, it just makes us look amazing. So the customer's happy with the content, and then it's future proof. Anything a manufacturer has, there's things coming down the line, like as distributors get online, they're doing unique manufacturer landing pages. So they're SEO plus they're showcasing that these are my top 20, top 25, however many key core manufacturers that we're really trying to push. And so having kind of a unique page with their products, even segmented by, we're seeing types of, segmented by contractor, segmented by MRO. And so different products, even within the manufacturers, segmented depending on what end user customer type. So that's been fun. Anytime we show, kind of comparisons for our stuff. It's nice to show before and after, or here's bad and here's good. We always use the EvoX customers to showcase the data. I don't know if that's kind of what you're looking for, but I think that makes Dave feel better.
It does. I'm just thinking of a couple of things actually, though. So you could be standing watching in a pub maybe, but you could be sitting watching and thinking, well, hey, if everybody has the same content and everybody's got a great website, how do I differentiate? So yeah, there's still huge differentiation. It's what you wrap around it from a customer engagement, marketing, promotions, reward campaigns, and honestly bringing special insights that you as a distributor have, expertise, connect with an expert. Maybe you offer training. Some products require training. So we see distributors offering online training or actually classroom training and signing up for all of those things. So I think there's a ton of ways to still differentiate, and it's actually, we see that too. The distributors, dealers who run the best campaigns, they excel. But I do think there's one thing that is of growing importance that goes beyond then the basics, which is back to really the manufacturers, maybe wholesalers, but it's the supply chain, because we have an expectation that the product's coming today or tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so obviously distributors may be stocking product and they have control over that part of the supply chain and the delivery expectation. But I think we're moving to where, fundamentally, actually, our mission is to support independent distributors being successful against the big boxes and the Amazons. That is actually in our mission. And I'm looking at Matt here on the video. We just actually readdressed that and truly stated that as our mission. And so I think it's helping the independent distributors with the supply chain. And so we as a platform, if manufacturers can share inventory and delivery lead time expectations, we can put it on the website and have it. It's either can come via the distributor or be drop shipped. But the next horizon is giving independent distributors awesome supply chain, and the manufacturers can play a huge role. And we would love to take inventory feeds as well as the content.
Yeah, that's something we're also in discussion with both sides, distributors, you guys, manufacturers, sitting in the middle of that, because it's so much easier for a platform to consume an API with that information from a single source than trying to get, one of the problems trying to consume a manufacturer's API is we've seen it take a year. And that's not the development time, that's the audit and compliance and security that you have to go through to hit some of these APIs. So that part, yeah, we're also excited about that. We see that as really the distributor being strategic partner with their manufacturers, and just delivering more than just product content. But yeah, you're definitely right.
I think actually I won't name them because they might be frustrated that I'm giving away that competitive goal, but we're working with one distributor who is traditionally been regional on the East Coast, and they're figuring out, working with the manufacturers, how they can, not for all products, but for a lot of products, start to ship nationwide and create a nationwide web presence and not be restricted to the local geography. And yeah, I think it's an awesome opportunity to collaborate with the manufacturers. And it's definitely what's great is I come back to the community. It's the manufacturers, the distributors. We're trying to sit in the middle and help with content and commerce, but it's bringing it all, and the buying groups actually, it's bringing it all together and getting information to end customers.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Yep. And making it easy.
And making it easy.
All
super
that easy.
Yes. And enjoyable, dare I say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we look at it more as trying to improve those relationships. We've seen over the years the way some others have done it, ended up really kind of creating friction between the manufacturer and the distributor, because, as the customers came to the site, they were saying, well, this manufacturer's data is poor. Well, it actually wasn't. It was back to the whole delivery and consumption part of it, where the manufacturer had, phenomenal content. It's just not getting delivered, and then, the time constraints and whatever challenges that the distributors face too. So we're seeing that improve, trying to help with that.
No, definitely.
It makes me think about, when I hear you guys talk, it makes me think about how most traditional distributors had no idea what was going to happen to their business, over the last 10, 15 years with just the complexity. It's already a complex business model, B2B distribution. And, it's enough to think about inventory and purchasing and, pricing and managing your customers. But then you throw in this added burden of, well, now I have to make everything connect with each other. Now I've got to make everything, I got to worry about content. I've got to worry about, training my staff how to use this new technology. And then on top of that, they have to be marketers now, because now we're digital. And that's what I talk about sometimes when I talk about what SpinStack does is, we help non-technical, non-digital marketing experts become competent. And that's huge, because if you cannot communicate, it doesn't matter how great you are at relationships. It doesn't matter how many handshake deals you've done. If you can't communicate online today, then you're losing not only your existing customers, but future customers that expect that sort of experience. So to kind of like put a bow on it, right, in terms of creating this vision of what success online looks like for a B2B distributor, it's about communicating and staying on top of and keeping your brand in front of your customer, because customer loyalty is at an all-time low. It's so easy for them to shop around. It's so easy for your customers to go out there and maybe go rogue and buy things that they're not contracted to buy, and buy from your competitor because they've got a better experience than you. So it's no longer a nice to have. I think it's truly becoming the importance of communicating online, digital marketing, e-commerce, product content, next generation product content. It is now what we would call table stakes, right? It's sort of the expectation to be able to compete in today's economy.
And I think that's very well said. I think that's the beauty of what you guys have done. Dave and I both have seen distributors that they can have the best content in the world. They can have the best website, but the problem is what happens after they go live. And I think that's the beauty of what you guys have done is you now have a machine that can actually help them, which is the most important part. Is okay, yeah, well, now that you're live, now that you're you have the content, you have the commerce, you're integrated with all your systems, and everyone says, okay, well, now what? It's the whole, I think you said it, if you build it, they will come, is not a thing, especially as you have more competition, especially as more distributors come online. You really need to get your existing customer base. You've got to get it has to be a corporate buy-in. It has to come from the top. You have to get your customers to continue to do business with you online. You have to show them why. You have to show them how it makes their lives easier. I think one interesting thing, we work with several distributors in Europe, and Dave does too. We see several cases where they're doing 50, 60, 70, 80% of their business online, and they're in the same industries. And so why is that? What is that? I know we always like to say we're different here, business is different, but why is that? Or have they just kind of changed the expectation of their distributorship, of their companies or their customers, and like, look, this is how we're gonna interact. This is how we're gonna do business in the future. And I think it's more of that than, and I think that's cool. That's what you guys are going to bring. And so this whole where everyone was hoping to get to 5%, 10%, 20% online. We've seen some customers, big distributors, go 50%, but it's not the normal here. But we have seen in Europe where the normal is above 50%. So how do they do that? I think that'll be cool what you guys can bring and help with that. I think that's desperately needed.
Yep. No, I agree. Matt, I don't know if we have time for one more thought, but I have another thought now, building on what Matt just said, which is something that we see so often, which is distributors are very nervous or basically do not open up their site to guest, maybe even guest browsing, but certainly not guest procurement. And I say procurement because it isn't, I don't want to put the B2C spin on it, but we again statistically can see, and this is especially true during COVID, the distributors, dealers that had open sites where you could go in and procure product actually thrived in some cases because there were closed sites. They couldn't talk to their normal supply chain partner. And so what drives that? Well, one, it's awesome content, but two, it's awesome content that works in search engine optimization because you can be found when somebody's just, I can't get this product, I'm Googling. And so this is probably another topic for another pubcast, Matt, but why open sites and not being fearful of getting the pricing wrong and feeling like maybe you're conflicting with existing account customers. An open site, I believe, is critical, but an open site does require awesome content combined with awesome SEO tools where somebody's going to find you. But it's been a game changer in the last 12 months. And I would say it's, I don't want to exaggerate, but maybe a different differentiation between distributors who've actually grown during COVID versus those who've kind of lost their way, honestly, and not visible. So again, it's kind of content is the foundation combined with a great website and SEO tools.
Yeah. What's funny from and I'm fine staying on. I don't know if the podcast has a timer on it. I think we kind of set our own time.
We let the audience decide when they're ready to go home.
Yeah, in the UK, the pubs close at a certain time, but
they came out long ago. I think it's interesting to hear that point from the manufacturer side where maybe some of their biggest distributors have historically taken we're B2B only, and that's fine. But in order to see a single product, you have to have an existing account and log in. And I think when the manufacturers go to some of their biggest distributors and say, I don't see any of my products, I think that from the manufacturer side is like, they don't get it. I don't think you have to have your pricing on your non-stock items or, it's a choice maybe to have it on anything until you log in. But to showcase that, look, this is one of my best distributors. I'm a great manufacturer to this distributor. I don't get why they're not showing my products and showing that they support me as a manufacturer. That's interesting to hear from the manufacturer side on. I don't know if they understand why.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it makes me think of, we didn't even touch on this part of product content, but a lot of distributors have this tribal product knowledge, among the sales team, right? Where it's just they're experts in a certain channel, and they are, they know every manufacturer, they know all these products, got great relationships with them, but they're limited, right? I mean, they're only human. They're limited to the amount of time in a day, and they can only handle so many customer accounts and answer so many questions. And the website is essentially taking that tribal knowledge and making it available 24/7, 365 days a year to their customer base. And I think a lot of distributors, sales reps, feel sort of intimidated by that it sort of makes them feel like, well, what am I going to do now if a customer can just go to the website and find all the answers they need, and what does that make my, how does that affect my role in the future? And I always tell them, like, you should see it truly as a complementary relationship. It should not be a conflict. It really should be a tool in your toolbox as a distributor sales rep to go out there and truly deliver meaning and value apart from, answering basic questions about products and taking orders, for goodness sakes. I mean, so many sales reps are just well-paid order takers. And really the website should be doing that. And what they should be doing is working on relationships, networking, visiting that customer, God willing, when we can actually do that. But, doing those kind of things and staying out of the weeds of product information and education and ordering, right?
Yeah, and I think that a distributor's got to be making a mistake if they're adjusting the commissions anyway on a salesperson, or the pay anyway on a salesperson, whether they take the order, over the phone, email, or via the web. I mean, it's a lower cost to the company in general. So the salespeople really, the successful companies I've seen doing it, they don't mess with their commissions. They still get paid, so they can go out, get more business, help more customers, and let the website take the orders. That's my probably naive vision of it.
No, I think it's true. Yeah, I think we see the best companies are actually rewarding the sale. One of the roles of the salesperson is to engage the customer in the website when it's appropriate, and engage in conversation directly when there's extra assistance required. But the salesperson should be fully remunerated, and maybe I actually would argue bonused for driving online sales.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another level of expertise, and it frees up time to go look for new customers and all those things. Absolutely. Yeah.
So guys, we talked about a lot of cool things today, and I love that we kind of finished up the Pubcast today talking about like the vision of what a great high performing web store looks like. And I'm sure there's people out there listening, like thinking, I'm so envious right now. I want that. I need that. And if content is the most important thing, Matt, how can a distributor learn more about DDS and what you guys do, and how would they work with you? Can you maybe talk a little bit about that and where they can find you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they can go to our website, kind of see what we do, who we work with, who we work with on the distributor side, who we work with on the manufacturer side, and just reach out to us. One nice way with you guys, with the EvoX platform, it's kind of you're getting the best of both, and they just work so well together. So for the distributors who don't have a platform today, it's just a phenomenal solution. They're integrated with some of the most common ERPs as well. So it's really kind of a package solution. And then with the addition of SpinStack, not even just the technology and everything involved, it's the ongoing making sure they're successful. That's a great solution. I think that's probably why we're all here, to show how well we work together, and kind of a package type solution. We view every distributor is a little bit different. They all have different areas of focus. They have different needs. We again kind of don't really believe in the one size fits all. We really haven't seen it very much on the manufacturer side, on the distributor side. So we want to understand what they're really trying to do, where they're at, what are their long-term goals, and so that's probably why I hesitate to answer it, because it's not just a kind of a generic answer for everyone. We really try to work with an individual distributor on what are they trying to do. I just can't tell you how different distributors are, even of the same size. They just have very different needs in what they're trying to accomplish, and so that's where we really try to, start off on what do they want to do first, and we like you guys are a long-term partner of theirs. So why I hesitate and pause on that.
Yeah, you really don't want to do the sales pitch. I teed it up for you.
Yeah.
It was good though, man. I'm just joking. That was
They
good.
know where to find us.
But I think, it's because like you and Dave and I were having this conversation earlier. It's like, why don't we publish pricing? And it's like, well, because every distributor is so different. And it's important to match the solution to the distributor and to ensure that they're happy for the long term, right? And we want people to to have something that's going to be the last e-commerce platform, the last product data solution they're ever going to need. This isn't a stepping stone, right? This is enterprise, and this is what they're going to need for the long term. So yeah, I totally get it. And man, this was a great conversation. For the first episode, I think you guys knocked it out of the park, and I'm ready to open up a bottle of whiskey with Dave and celebrate.
Well, great job teeing it up, and again, very happy to be on the first one. Loved working with Dave. Definitely going to love working with you too, Matt. So just excited for the future. There's a lot of good we can do. There's a lot of help we can give distributors, manufacturers, and we're the right ones to do it. So excited for it.
Matt, I'll have one last thought too. If any manufacturer managed to sit through all of this, we're super excited to engage with manufacturers too, through the distributor. Like how can we make the distribution channel way more effective for the manufacturers? And it's all tied into how we get supply chain information.
Yeah, that's definitely another pubcast.
Yeah.
The pitch I will make is the blog we just released today, the second part in a 3-part series where we've looked at some pretty scary stories of what has been allowed to become the norm for the exchange of content in some of these, or lack thereof, exchange of content in some of these industries. We see manufacturers that say, I'm delivering my data and have been forever, 10, 20 years to this one location that is the industry choice. And I find out, and I survey my top 20 distributors and find out that 2 of them have downloaded the content more than 0 times in the last year. And so there's some pretty shocking things. And so you say, okay, well, why is the content bad on a distributor site? Well, they're not even using it, right? So again, conversation for another time, but maybe it's the supply chain of data that we need to kind of coin. But there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of manufacturers, many manufacturers we talk to that say, well, this is just how I've always done it. Didn't know there was another solution. But the market's changing. There's a shift happening, and there's better ways to do this stuff, just like there is with e-commerce.
Yeah, Matt, it could be fun. Now you've got the task is bring in a forward-thinking manufacturer, and we'll do another podcast.
Oh, easy.
Honestly,
I'll give you some.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty good.
Great, guys. Well, I enjoyed it, and do thank you for taking the time today. And Matt, we're excited to have you back on in the future and bring that manufacturer with you. That'd be great. Make sure he's.
You don't have to have me. I'll just give you some names.
All right.
It's not a package deal. I'll let you.
I'm just hoping
one and done is it, huh? You're not gonna come back on the show.
I don't want to overstay my welcome. Happy to be on anytime.
I'm just hoping anybody who watched also had a drink.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys. I enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Distributor Pubcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, we'd love for you to leave us a rating and review on the podcast player of your choice. You can learn more about us at distributorpubcast.com. This show is presented by ES Tech Group. We're here to help you grow. Until next time, cheers to your growth.